What's good, everybody out there on YouTube? This is your man Shattuck Stick. You're watching Jet Set Shattuck. We're going to be talking about the PS5 having no games, my concerns around Sony, and overall just a follow-up to that previous video about the PS5 Pro. Now, we know the PS5 Pro is coming out, and one of the biggest memes or whatever that's been going around since the PS5 generation has started is that the PS5 has no games. There's no real killer app that makes you want to, invest in a PlayStation 5. Especially because of a few things for better and for worse. But I'm going to go into that right now. But before we do that, make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We're trying to hit 100 subscribers before the end of the year. So help a brother out and make his dreams become true. The first reason why is because of more players. Now, what do I mean by this? I mean, Sony and just every game dev in general is trying to reach more players. How do you do that? You cut out exclusivity. I mean, I think they're following Microsoft's lead in this, and that Microsoft stopped really making games exclusive to their platform. They started releasing them on PC, and then even more so recently they started releasing games on PlayStation 5 to great success. I think Sea of Thieves was in the top 5 for when it released on PlayStation 5. It just shows that when you have more people playing your games, they stay alive longer, more people spending money, you get more money. It's consumer friendly and it helps both the player and the company. You have more people to buy your game, and on top of having more people to buy your game, more players get to play your game. It's a win-win. But because of this, we've seen, the criticism that there's no real exclusives for the PlayStation 5, which at the end of the day, I think wouldn't matter that much if Sony was pumping out games, especially in the way they handle exclusives. Usually their games go to PC and or other platforms after about a year to a year and a half, sometimes 2 years. Now, recently they've been doing more day and date releases, but even then, it's one of those things that you think, oh, I don't really think it's gonna affect them in the long run, as long as people see that PlayStation branding next to the game. And when you just look at it, they have no games that they've really released this generation that aren't remasters or remakes. The only games that I can think of that are truly of this generation are Spider-Man 2, Ratchet and Clank: A Rift Apart, and Astro Bot. Those are truly next-gen titles that utilize the PlayStation 5 in a unique way and would get someone to go out and buy a console. 3 games in 4 years is kind of ridiculous, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. And then when you look at Sony's grander plans, they wanted to move into live service a few years ago, and they announced it in a very, I don't know, they just haven't caught up. They released Helldivers 2, and it was actually a surprise hit. Very little marketing for that game, but because it came out on PC, a lot of people on PC picked it up. It got super popular. People were streaming it, and they were like, wow, this game is really, really good. And it still has a relatively high concurrent player count on Steam. I can imagine the same on PlayStation. But then when you look at their other games like Marathon, apparently behind the scenes, that's not doing too well. Fair Games, we haven't heard anything on. And then Concord came out, and it's probably the biggest flop in gaming history. $100 million budget. Actually, I think it came out that it was $400 million recently. I'm gonna put something on screen if that is right or wrong. And it came out at $40 in a market where free-to-play or just multiplayer games in general are coming out in free-to-play forms, and they're free. The barrier to entry is low, and really the way they make money is off of cosmetics. Concord was trying to take the traditional route. It was trying to take the Overwatch model. It was very much an Overwatch clone. It was a hero shooter where they were going to tell the story through, releasing different videos and stuff over the course of every month or something like that. Basically how Overwatch was. And Overwatch was a $40 game. It's very obvious that they were trying to take that model, but they were 8-9 years too late to the party. Everything has changed now. Overwatch is free to play. And when you have massive games like Fortnite, Valorant, and Rainbow Six Siege on the market, doing well, and they have a low barrier to entry, most of them are free, why in the hell would I buy Concord? Concord was just that none of the character designs were really amazing. It didn't seem like the story was going to be amazing. Actually, I felt debated watching the Summer Games Fest or whatever gameplay, or not gameplay, or trailer they showed off. Everybody was thinking it was going to be a single player experience, and then we hear that it's a hero shooter like Overwatch. It's come on, man. We're tired of this. And I just think that leads into a bigger point, because games are taking a lot longer to make and they're more expensive. And I just think Sony doesn't have their resources in the right place. Like, if Concord cost $100 million, took 8 years to develop, and had to sell at least 2.5 million units to break even, what are they doing with their other games? I mean, we recently got it. I mean, I don't want to say it was leaked. I mean, it got rated by the ESRB. Horizon Zero Dawn is getting a remaster. Why does Horizon Zero Dawn need a remaster? I mean, they're chasing outdated fads. They're making unnecessary remakes and remasters. Why did TLU 1 get a remake? Like, I love The Last of Us Part 1 at least. And why did it need to be remade? It looked good via the PlayStation 4 remaster. TLU 2 got a remaster. It looks the fucking same. And now we're getting a Horizon Zero Dawn remaster, and there's a rumor of a remaster that's gonna be even less needed than Horizon Zero Dawn. Horizon Zero Dawn on the base PlayStation 4 is one of the best looking games of all time. So why on a platform where it's already been updated to be 60 FPS and high resolution with high quality assets, do we need a remaster? It just makes no sense to me that Sony keeps falling into this trap of making games, or not really making games, just kind of tossing stuff at the wall to see what sticks, when for years they knew what stuck. They're sitting on a plethora, a backlog, a massive amount of IPs that they could just remaster. People don't even need new games in the series. They decide to remaster and remake The Last of Us Part 1 and 2 1,000 times, but there's no Jak and Daxter. I hate Jak and Daxter, and I'm telling you, there should have been a Jak and Daxter collection. There should be a Sly Cooper collection. There should be all these games coming out that they have under their belt. The easiest way for them to make $1 bajillion is for them to release an Infamous collection. All they had to do is release an Infamous collection where it runs at 4K. Don't even gotta be 60 frames per second. Just like 4K, and say, hey, here's Infamous on the PlayStation 5, and people would lose their shit. I know I would. But instead, Sony continues to take this approach of, I guess, weaning money in the most unnecessary ways from its players. I can tell you right now that on my PlayStation 5, the only games that I have that have PS5 on the little bar on the fucking case are Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion, and that's not even an exclusive. Oh, and Spider-Man 2. I don't know, it just seems like Sony has lost the plot. Nintendo is quite literally doing the thing that people want Sony to do. And I'm telling you, as someone who owns every platform, I play on every platform, I think Nintendo should be given the most shit for the stuff they do. But the one thing they do right is that they take their IPs and they do shit with them. We've gotten a myriad of, Zelda remakes and Mario remakes and remasters, and just games coming from previous platforms. Metroid Prime 1, apparently we're supposed to get Prime 2 and Prime 3. Like, it's just one of those things that makes no sense to me. The money's sitting there and Sony's just not taking it. Like, if you're not gonna give us new games, at least give us new releases of games, of older games that we haven't had in years. I mean, you're remastering Horizon Zero Dawn when the most asked for remaster from the PlayStation 4 generation, or of all time from the Sony fanbase, is Bloodborne. And especially coming off of a massive success like Elden Ring. I know it's not a Sony game, I know it's from Software and Bamco, but what I'm saying is, if that game came out, if Bloodborne came out right after Elden Ring on the PlayStation 5 and 4K, 60 frames per second, people would have lost their shit and you would have had a shit ton of more people buying your platform. But Sony is just in this situation where they're not really competing with Nintendo, because Nintendo has a monopoly on the handheld market. I don't care what people say about the Steam Deck. I don't think the Steam Deck has even sold 10 million units. Now in the PC realm, 10 million units is amazing. In the console space, that's dog shit. But when you take in account that, the other company that they're competing with, Microsoft, has stopped competing with them and started competing with Google and Apple, because they're selling service and subscriptions and software, and that's what they really care about, because no matter what, they're gonna make money. If the Xbox goes down, Microsoft is still gonna make money off of all of the game studios they've acquired. Sony has no one to really step in and stop them, unless the Nintendo Switch 2 comes in and it's in the same power class as at least a base PS5 or even an Xbox Series S. I don't know. I'm just worried about the, you know, future of console gaming and stuff, especially after seeing the PS5 Pro. Because at that point, when you're spending almost $900 to get a complete experience, just go ahead and buy a PC. Because you're not buying, if you're buying the games digitally, why are you buying them on PlayStation? We've seen after Concord came out that they just started pulling copies of the games from people's account, from reviewers' accounts. If they can do that, why do you think they should be trusted, you know, with your money? You have to use the internet to access the, you know, to even use your fucking physical hardware. So at that point, buy a PC. It'll have more utility, it can play more games, and in general, it'll probably last you quite a bit longer, even for the same power and price. But I don't know. How do you guys feel in that comment section down below? Let me know, because it's really frustrating to see Sony continue to do this. I would be happy if they were just even re-releasing games from, you know, previous gens and just remastering them outside of TLU, God of War, and Horizon. Those are like the only franchises it seems like they care about now. And I'm also gonna make some videos talking about the Switch 2 and all that stuff coming up soon, so make sure you watch out for that. But this has been your man, Shattuck Stick. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Share this video out with your friends. Remember, Hot Faraga turns to Cold Blizzaga. Make sure you chill out with some of my other videos. And, you know, follow your boy on Twitter. Join the Discord. Links are all down below. But I'm out of here. Peace, and have a good one.